we have a situation where the teams today are probably from all over the world, and to keep the contact and stay together and form a relationship so that you really can promote your idea and talk about it is maybe one of the most important things. Then we need to think that the local hosts for whom the teams are working, they should be actively also in touch with the teams and ask how they are doing and how you are continuing with your development ideas. Did something happen, and so on. So it's a relationship building very much. And also for the local hosts, I think it's very important that they all have had a challenge that they have put up on DigiEduHack.com website. So they have something that they want to be solved. Please help the teams who have come to your challenge and given you solutions to really implement and to pitch and to test their ideas in your environment, so that you can find what is suitable and what is not. I think it is really crucial that there is a will from both sides, both the hosts and from the participants, to go further. And then this is just the start. DigiEduHack is just the start, and after that, miracles can happen as long as you keep together and communicate. I think that is the key, and we have a plan, I can maybe tell it a little bit later, on what will happen after DigiEduHack with at least few of the teams that participate.
That would be interesting, but I met many participants today, yesterday, and I see they're really very idealistic and they are very convinced. This is so nice to see because it's so true, yeah? But in the end, we heard yesterday as well, the hackathon is really starting after the hackathon, and that means they need more than like good words. They need to make it clear they need support in form of money. So what distinguishes a hackathon idea from a startup idea?
Maybe Cristina's question.
Yeah, whoever.
Indeed, because you know, it's like if you want on a very basic level, actually, I would argue that both are facing the same challenge. And it's a bit like when you start walking. Remember when we were little, we didn't learn how to walk because somebody told us the rules. They didn't tell us you have to sit straight, you have to put this feet in front of the other, right? So what did you do? We just started, and then we fell on and on and on. At one point in time, there we were walking. And launching ambitious projects feels a bit like this, because this is actually what we are doing as entrepreneurs, and this is the spirit of the hackathon. We are trying to come up with absolutely amazing new ideas, and this hasn't been done before. So it's up to us to have the courage and get out in the world and start to make them happen. And as I was mentioning before, at first it's not a question of money. It may sound that, oh, if only I would have a lot of, millions and millions, I'm sure that my project would succeed. This, in reality, is not true, because we have seen on and on startups who got the funding eventually and didn't make it, because it comes down to this, if you want, in a way, human-centered design thinking approach, because you are building something for people. And in order for you to build an amazing product, you have to make absolutely sure that you understood very well the needs, the wishes, the pains of your customers. And this is why the spirit we have seen also during the hackathon needs to be taken on, because it's all about participatory design and it is about co-creation. For example, if EdTech developers, engineers go ahead and develop a solution without involving educators or even researchers from learning sciences, for example, early on, they will end up having a beautiful, perfect engineering product that may not actually work in practice, and it could be funded, but the thing is, it's not a guarantee that's going to work. So actually there's a step-by-step approach that has been proven, and I think by now We have many resources out there, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel when we are launching early stage projects. There's very useful resources, Canvas. I would mention the value proposition Canva or the business model Canva. There are many such resources out there, and they help us to actually go through these key first steps that we need to take in order to make sure that we are building a solution that benefits people. And before getting to having millions and millions of users, it starts with making 5 people happy. So if you basically manage to make 5 of your potential customers, users happy, and if they say, you know what, I absolutely love this, you saved and changed my life.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you right now, Cristina, but this is only the social attitude you are trying to highlight right now of a hackathon. Maybe there are some people who create ideas, help much more people, and maybe they think about earning a little bit money, I don't know. So my question to the other panelists, do you agree with the points of Cristina?
May I jump in briefly? Because I would fully agree what she said.
Yeah.
Actually, you started out saying that, hey, now you have a whole bunch of very idealistic people engaged in developing ideas, which is brilliant. It's a great start because it kind of leads to the purpose. And purpose is really good to have, both for motivating yourself, but also for somehow creating a product which hopefully will be very meaningful at the very end. So purpose is great. But then next step comes actually that you have to put in the effort. You have to validate your idea. You can use all the tools available, have already been mentioned. And it's not about thinking that how fast can I become a millionaire in this context here.
Not really.
Because if you have a purpose and if your idea is good and if you, as you said, can convince the first 5 people to be happy with your product, well, then maybe you can exponentially grow from there on. And the next time it's not 5, but 25, and then it just grows on. But if you're not making 5 people happy at the very beginning, chances are that you will not exponentially grow in that direction. So I believe it's really an essential point that you start and to validate, to test out really the essential parts of your idea. Using a good framework is brilliant for doing so because it makes this more systematic in its approach. And this is actually in the business field you're operating in here with education, this is even more so of importance because it is a very complicated market. It's not just one user, it's several users. They split up in how they act. The whole customer function is distributed across different people, you know? The ones using it are not necessarily the ones paying for it, and so on. And understanding that in depth really builds the foundation for any success ever happening. And if you understand it well, then you may eventually also be able to explain that to an investor who gives you some money and who helps you grow, hopefully in an exponential manner.
And this is exactly the point. So yes, you need funding and you should get it and you should think about it, but not before you took this first step. So this is extremely important. So I'm not advocating for not fundraising in any way. So I would say definitely get there, meet investors, but do your homework first. That is very important.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Ida.
If I might just say one thing about DigiEduHack in this context is that DigiEduHack is an open and inclusive event. We do not require the participants to be coders. They can be coders. We want to have participants who represent, just like Cristina said, different areas from the learning community, people, teachers, planners, policymakers, anyone who can come up with an idea, with a development of a process, with spaces. It doesn't have, even though we are called Digi, we are called Edu, and we are called Hack, we still are more inclusive than that. So money is not the main point. Of course, some of the teams probably want to create a product or a service that can be sold and can become a million business. However, for DigiEduHack, that is not the main point. We are looking for small signs that can really help people in learning in this digital time. So don't get hacked up on the finding money or doing.
No.
I think that is, we also look for policies, how to create better policies for the European countries and countries beyond Europe to make it easier to learn in this area, in this time.
Yes, you are absolutely right. That was not my point to seek for millionaires or to seek for investors who support hackathon participants. But yesterday in our panels, a few panelists pointed out the real work is starting after the hackathon. So, and they also we're talking about, yeah, maybe in this or this case, too less support. So we were asking for support. And maybe, Cristina, a question to you. How can teachers or professors give more support to students and participants?
Yes, so teachers are incredibly important in the whole transformation of our education systems, and they are true agents of change. It is not an easy task they have, because on one hand they need to do their everyday work, while now also, of course, taking on the challenges that come with maybe remote learning and other issues that are arising with this period that we are going through. And it is important for them to open up and become part of existing communities. So we are seeing that more and more teachers in Europe and beyond are present on social media. They start exchanging best practice. They are engaging also with researchers. They are engaging with edtech developers. And I would say this is a great start, because they need to know they are not alone. And the responsibility of changing education for a better, it is not on the shoulders of teachers or policymakers or parents alone. We are all in it together, and it's only by supporting each other, and everybody's voice counts. So educators have the experience, they have, of course, the day-to-day contact with the students, which is so important. They know what learning is all about. And it's important to bring that knowledge and added value to the table and engage with these interdisciplinary communities.
We are also talking about progress in the hackathon scene. So what are the learnings maybe from 2020? It happened so much, pandemic situation, boost for the hackathon scene and culture. What would you say, Ida?
Well, I have to say that the hackathon, DigiEduHack from 2019 to 2020 has transferred. It's totally different. The challenges and hopefully the solutions will be as great as they were last year, but everything how we work has changed. Last year we had only 3 online hackathons. This year we have over 50 online hackathons. So you can imagine that we have had a huge learning curve also here in the central team when transferring everything online. So that may be the most visible sign that has changed from last year. However, I think that the enthusiasm, the really people having a great journey and a learning journey, seeing what's happening, learning to know each other, it's all there, even though we are doing it online this time. And my wish for next year, for you will maybe hear about that later, but if we have an event in 2021, is that it would be maybe a blended, because there are so many good points in both physical events and online events. But how is it going to look when we really have the opportunity to combine these two? That is something I'm looking forward for next year. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
Okay, I want to come back to the fact that very successful hackathon ideas were supported by local authorities or governments. And what are you saying? Would you say about an idea, about a funding program for hackathons, public or private?
Both are much needed. So I would say public and private funding needs to come together to support ideas. This is very important. And going back to the point you were making in the beginning of our discussion, funding is important for those solutions that have been validated, tested, and they work, and they can grow at scale. And it is only by rallying private and public partnerships and money that we can actually accelerate so we can go faster.
Søren.
So I think, you know, if you think about what is the actual effects of these hackathons, hackathons open up a great space of opportunities because it brings people together around a specific topic and people ideate. And in a hackathon, we create an environment in which such ideation happens at great speed. And in times like these we're living in now, it's even more important because we don't bump into each other, you know, while going to a lecture or in a cafe. So having these setups like hackathons, even if it's virtual, is simply the biggest engine for ideation. And, you know, ideation, that's what kind of fuels the whole activity. If we don't have good ideas, then nothing else will happen. It starts with a good idea, and that's what hackathons are for. That's why I'm certainly an advocate of saying let's do more of that. I mean, it's also we can't stay in hackathons from morning to night, but still there is, I think, ample room for creating these venues for bringing people together in a structured manner to ideate, and then the ball rolls and more comes out of it. So from that perspective, I think there is ample room for just pushing more towards that.
If you support hackathons and ideas, it's about, of course, realizing, dreaming, of course, as well. You know, there's a very enthusiastic way how they manage the ideas and work about. But when it comes to the point to put it into practice, so the people have to decide, yeah, should we do it or should we not? So there should also be the conviction that this project might fail. You know what I mean? So is this maybe too less pointed out?
I don't think so. In fact, I think many people sit and dream, and they do that individually. What a hackathon does, it brings people together who may dream, but because they dream, they talk to each other, they generate their ideas. And if these ideas are really innovative, if they really dare something new, well, then certainly there is a chance of failure, but it also comes with a chance of the upside, right? So I mean, failure is an essence in life, and if you venture into the innovative, into the unknown, well, you risk failure, but it's certainly compensated by the benefits of maybe achieving something which is really worthwhile. And in this case here, as I said earlier, in education, I mean, the purpose is somehow already built in from the very beginning. So I mean, what else can you wish for?
Yes, and would you say can hackathons actually become an important part of all areas? So not only now we are talking and focusing in the education sector, but maybe I don't know, you can also implement this or try it as a tool in the health sector or in the area of political conflicts. I don't know. What would you say?
Totally yes for hackathons in all areas of life, because it is a wonderful way to to tap into collective intelligence. And the out-of-the-box ideas come by combining different backgrounds, be it, cultural experiences, knowledge, and dreams, ideas. And when you put all these together in a pot during a hackathon, then you get these unexpected, amazing innovations. And for me, it would be personally, definitely, I would like to see more hackathons happening. And as you mentioned yesterday, I was watching one of the panels. Hackathon has become now mainstream thing, right? So the word hackathon, it was only reserved to the geeks a few years ago, and now more and more everybody has heard about it and starts looking into what it is actually, and this generates new ideas.
And is there anything, when we are talking about hackathons, you are not fine with, Søren?
If you would have asked me a year back, I would have said hackathons are a brilliant place, as just has been said, to bring in people together in a social situation where something new can emerge out of these different diverse disciplines and perspectives coming together. But these situations also can be quite challenging and sometimes also limiting, right? It's because innovation is not only about talking to other people, it's also about your ability to systematically reflect about some opportunities or dig a little deeper into some, let's say, technical specificities or something of your idea. Nowadays, and that's, I think, so that's the positive effect of doing it virtually. Actually, you can do a hackathon, have a lot of interaction, but you can much easier build in moments of reflection, right? Where you can retract for an hour and then let people work on their own and then come back again and collide. So actually, brilliant to doing it the way we do it now.
Very good. Ida, because you were, I was asking about the learning, and you pointed out a few things, and a lot of people said, yeah, the crisis was an enormous boost for hackathons and also for us. So would you say that without the pandemic, hackathons hasn't come so far? Or?
No, I think that even without the pandemic, we'd have the same number of hackathons, even maybe quite a few more, because I know that many from the last year's hackathon hosts could not take part this year because they had so much other issues, burning issues and priorities that they had to do prior to take part in a hackathon. So there's a lot of countries and cities and universities, schools, organizations that really are struggling with, for them, more important issues than taking part in a hackathon during this pandemic time. So I think that we are quite balanced with what would have happened without the pandemic at this stage. But I wanted to point out, when you asked if we could have health hackathons or something like that, as you know, we are part of the EIT community, and we have actually health-related DigiEduHacks, we have urban mobility-related DigiEduHacks, we have manufacturing-related DigiEduHacks today and yesterday. So we actually, they are all, of course, a little bit involved in education, but we do have from different areas DigiEduHacks, and I think that is really interesting. It's not all about schools, not all about universities, but it is actually interdisciplinary, and we are having a lot of different sectors who are involved in DigiEduHack. So it's really exciting.
Yes, back to Cristina again, because at the beginning there were a few points, but maybe too much points, especially for me. So that's why I'm asking you again, what are the 3 tips for you, or you would give to aspiring innovators?
So my first tip would be to validate your idea. You start with an assumption, right? So you by yourself, probably or a small group of people, say, okay, I believe that, for example, teachers would love this product, but this is actually your hypothesis, your assumption, and you are not perhaps very familiar with the world of teaching and learning. So to start with, it's all about empathy, about engaging, exploring the world of your future user. So really understanding, looking at what are their pains, what are their needs, what are their wishes, and do you, with your solution, actually manage to bring on something that they will be using because there's a real need for that. It's the proverbial product market fit in the world of startups. Then once you have actually went out there, you know, and it's not about building a full platform. So in order for you to get this first validation, even the most complex platforms can be sketched on a piece of paper. And with that, you go out in the real world to your potential user and you show it and you say, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Would you use it? How would you maybe add something, or how would you change something? So really with that then, understand, okay, so if I have identified a so-called persona, so the typical user who will be very happy with my product, then how am I going to make this project last? How is it going to become sustainable, also financially sustainable long-term? And this is where you start looking beyond the value proposition. You start looking at the bigger picture of the business model. How do you plan to build a team? How do you plan to partner with different players in the ecosystem? Which type of funding do you need? You may be at this stage taking also decision, is it an open source project for free for everybody to contribute? Or is it a product that relies on a very specific business model? It can be freemium, so one part is free. For other features, maybe users must pay something. So all this comes afterwards. And at the same time, it's really important to rally from the very beginning a network of supporters. And this has to do basically with, going out there and looking for the people who want to change the world, just like you, and who have this passion and who want to make things happen. And you will find these people at all levels. You will find policymakers who will support you. You will find school directors who will support you, investors. So starting early on to rally this network of supporters is really important. And then I was giving as a last tip this bootstrapping idea, but again, not to say that you should not look for funding, because it is important once you have a great product and it is scalable to get all the money in order to make it happen. But to start with, even very successful companies out there have been at first modestly going out and did very rapid tests at low cost. So these days, for example, thanks to also social media, you can quickly launch a survey. You can quickly launch and ask the community, hey, I'm thinking of building this. What do you think? Do you like it? Would you add something? Give me feedback. So there are many, many ways, thanks to technology today, that make all entrepreneurs' life easier in the beginning, because you then end up building a product based on evidence. So it's a data-driven decision-making process that you want to embrace, because this is where you will have long-term sustainable growth.
Okay, thank you very much. That was an inspiring answer, Cristina. Søren, you are an expert working at the university, innovation management, and maybe all the education institutions who are not familiar with hackathons. What could you recommend? What would you suggest?
Your question again, so what I would recommend to the other educational institutions?
Who are not familiar with hackathons. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, I mean, for sure, it is. I mean, as an educational institution, you would typically have a number of users, typically your students, right, essentially, and then your educators. And a hackathon, I believe, offers a great platform for connecting these people in a novel way in order to leverage all those ideas, dreams, and fears, for that case, of all these people together into understanding what could be done differently. And so why not engage in such a hackathon to find out these ideas? I mean, you have the people on board already. So there's a tool to use.
And is there a place where teachers, where professors can learn about this, or is it just you have to get the information by yourself?
I think the first step would be to ask Ida. To be honest.
So Ida, go on.
Okay. Well, we try to be as visible as possible, but as you might know, this is only our second year. We have doubled the number of hosts and almost doubled the number of participants for 2020 from last year. So it's getting there. But I have to say that there's still a huge amount of work to be done so that DigiEduHack will be even more known globally. But we are working on it really hard with the communications team here. So I hope that all the followers on Twitter and YouTube who have been following this fantastic main stage event will eventually think that, maybe we can participate next year, because this seems to be such a cool event. So I really hope that goes forward. To add on that, I'd like to tell that from DigiEduHack point of view, we really want to support the teams to really find sponsors as well. So we will have in January, we can't yet know actually which date in January, but in January we will have an event where all the winning teams that have been chosen to the final, it means 10 to 12 teams, they will be invited to a pitching session.
Oh.
Yes, so they can all pitch in the same session. There will be people who can support them in how to pitch, if there's something that maybe is a bit lacking, how you could enhance your slides, how you could sell better. But there will also be professionals, hopefully from our steering group, from the universities, from organizations, a lot of people, an open event who can really say, hey, I am really interested in that specific solution, and I'd like to be in contact with that team, and maybe we can find ways how these fantastic solutions and fantastic teams can connect with people outside of DigiEduHack. So this is something that is new for this year that we didn't have last year, but I think this is something that is definitely needed, and I hope the teams really value this and makes them even more eager to win the competitions in their local hackathons. We are also planning how to support those teams who necessarily are not chosen to become in the final between the 10 to 12 best solutions, because I know from last year that many fantastic solutions, really cool solutions, were left out from the 10 finalist solutions because there were just not space for all the solutions there. And they got a little bit sad, and they didn't continue with their fantastic work. So we need to find a solution from our side, how we can support also the other solutions that are not chosen to the final competition. And as you might know, the final 10 to 12 solutions will then be uploaded to United Idea platform. It's hosted by United Nations, and it's going to be a public vote that anyone globally can vote for their favorite solution. And those 3 solutions with most votes will in the end be awarded the 3 global winners of DigiEduHack, and they will become digital ambassadors for the commission, and it's a huge, great honor. So, and then they, of course, they'll get their 5,000 euros to develop their ideas further. It's not a lot of money, but it is still something. It's a symbolic handout that we give the 3 winning teams to really work further with their ideas as a team. But we really want to find new methods, new ways how to support all the fantastic solutions that are raising from DigiEduHack, because there's a lot. And I think they are all worth an applause.
Of course, yeah, it sounds really great. Yeah, very, very good. You were talking earlier, Ida, about to get in as much participants as possible, so lower the barriers so that everybody can take or be part of a hackathon. So which steps are planned?
Well, this is actually a tricky part. Because all who have been doing events, and especially when you're doing online events, it's easy to register. To really take part and take that to the end, it's more difficult. So that's another thing where we need to think how to get those participants not only to register, but to really take part in the challenge they have registered to and participate till the end, and also leave the solution for the steering group to be evaluated. Oh. I think that one really important key factor is that we are not only looking for coders, we are looking for anyone, any age. And as you have seen during these 2 fabulous days, we do have small children, young children, students, and we have elderly actually also who are taking part in DigiEduHack. So the communities, there's a huge amount of potential. Not everyone probably will take part in DigiEduHack during their lifetime, but we certainly want to make more and more people aware of this and to take part in these fantastic challenges.
Oh, I love it. So much excitement. Really very good. Very good. How do you see the future of hackathons, all of you? Like maybe in 5 years, what would you say, Søren?
I was just laughing because the idea is growing on me to say that, you know, you have to be part of a hackathon, not once in your life, but once every year. That would be fun. This will be like, you know, you open the doors and ideas will flow. I think it's a brilliant idea. So it's just, let's roll it on. That's cool.
Yeah, this is good. Cristina, you can edit.
Fully agree to that. Let's do that. So hackathons are the new summer camps.
Yeah, this sounds also very, very good. So I'm very glad. I was very glad talking to you. That was a really interesting conversation with you, and so enthusiastic and exciting. I say thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Ida and Søren. All the best. Maybe we talk to each other next year. I don't know. Who knows? All the best to you.
Thank you. The same
Thank
to
you
you.
so much.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.